Hello and welcome to Spirit Island with Jonathan. Today we are going to play Shadows for the first time, and we are going to play against France. Shadows, considered by many a weaker spirit. I kind of agree. He has a great weakness in his defense mainly, I think. He has no defense cards, he has no way of really preventing those blights from blighting the island and simply dying from too much blight. And I think that is the main problem with this spirit. We do have a lot of fear generation, of course, being a fear spirit. We have some ways of removing those cities, and we can destroy invaders with this combination of concealing shadows and favor calls due. This is quite a powerful card, actually, concealing shadows. If we consider that if we gather in 4 hands with favors, we can then do 8 damage worth with concealing shadows in the Ravage, taking care of a lot of invaders that way without any Dahan dying. And this also have a range 0, might look like it should be difficult to pull off, but we have our special rule, we can increase the power range. So this is actually quite powerful, and I think that is why it is considered quite an offensive spirit, even though it doesn't have any direct damage. It has concealing shadows, and we can replace those cities, making this quite an offensive spirit indeed. But the weakness is defense, and we need some way of surviving. So I think it's important to get a defense card here early, so that we simply survive until we survive until the win condition is met. So let's try this spirit, and let's try it first against France. I think this will be the easiest mashup for some reasons, but mainly because we don't have that many fear cards to work through. Only 9 cards until level 3, which is the most common way of winning. And if we compare that with, for example, England has also 9 cards, but we have another fear pool, another fear in the fear pool here, so this is more like 6/6 or something like that. Also Scotland have a lot of fear, so France comparatively have not as many. Also Russia and Habsburg is somewhere in there between those extremes. But Prussia, Sweden and France don't have that many fear cards, and I think that is very beneficial for shadows. If we can simply rush them down before we die, we will win. So let's try to do that. Random board, and let's get started.
Initial explore, jungles.
So we have jungle explorers, and then we have a persistent explorer somewhere. Let's put it here.
Turn 1, grow phase.
So where do we want to grow? Which growth option? I think for this spirit we are mainly going to try to do the 3rd growth option. 3 energy is quite a lot, and we get out of presence. Since we have this option, I think we can mainly concentrate on going bottom track, and if we can place presence and get some energy this way, we don't need the top track for a while. That way we can get a lot of card plays, which we will need, I think, to generate fear. So let's do that. Let's add presence. Let's add it here. This way we can play Crops, Wither and Fade. We can replace 1 city with a town here. We need 0 range, so it might always be a good idea to put the presence where we have cities because of that. So let's do that.
Play powers.
So we have 2 card plays, and we probably want to set up this combo that we're talking about, concealing shadows together with favors called due. So we need to play this first, and we play this in the slow phase, and then we can play this next turn in the fast phase when we ravage in jungles. So we are going to set it up here then. We have 4 Dahan here that we can gather, and then we can set up a massive attack here. He will build a city, and that will be a triangle city, triangle trade city. That means he will add a town adjacent. And unfortunately, I don't think we can prevent that. We don't really have any fast powers here, and this power only do something with explorers. So he's going to build a city here, and then he will have a town pop up in one of these adjacent lands. So maybe we will push that town with Mantle of Dread, maybe, so that, for example, he build a city here, and we can put a town here from that triangle trade, and then push him in here. Then we have a city and 2 towns and 1 explorer that we can kill with those Dahan later. So let's do that, and we can gather 1 explorer here from the innate that could take care of that build.
Fast powers.
So let's do that first. We have a sacred site here. Let's gather him in. Let's gather him in here then, so we can also push him. We can push 1 town and 1 explorer.
Build jungles.
So he will build a city here, and then a triangle trade town. Let's put it here then, so that we can push him in now. And this is not activated.
Explore wetlands.
So we have explore, and then we have a persistent explorer. So we add another explorer somewhere. I think we can add it, for example, here, or maybe here. Yeah, let's add it here so that the beast maybe can take care of him. He will ravage next turn, but it's just 1 explorer. That's not a problem.
Slow powers.
So first we can gather those Dahan. And now we have more Dahan than invaders, so we get 3 fear. And then we can do this one, 2 fear, and we can push 1 town and 1 explorer.
Turn 2. Grow phase.
So in the next turn here we will want to open 3 card plays, I think, so that when we reclaim we can hit the 2nd level here. That's 2 extra fear. But we will need energy, so let's do that again. We can add a presence somewhere. Where do we want this one? Maybe we want a sacred site here, so that we can use this all over the island. Let's do that.
Play powers.
And we are going to play these 2 then.
Fast powers.
Concealing Shadows, of course, we will play that here. That's 1 fear. And now these Dahan won't die. They will do 8 damage. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Everything will die except 1 explorer. That's okay. He will ravage, he will blight, but the Dahan will not die. But if we are going to do that, as you can see here, this range 0, so we have to pay 1 energy to activate our special rule. And then we have gather 1 explorer. We want to prevent this build, so let's move him in here maybe. Let's gather them up. So we have prevented that build. He will build a city here, but I don't think we can prevent that. And this one is slow, so let's move on.
Event. Fear.
Event first. Life's balance tilts. The energy of life shifts towards destruction, bring wasting disease to the animals of the island. So what can we do here? Let destruction have its day. It removes a beast, add a disease. We might have to add a blight, and then invaders and Dahan have -1 health. This means that everything will die here. The invaders will die, but we still don't die, of course. We don't take any damage. So this is probably a good idea. What about this one? Cost 4 energy, aided by animal. No, we absolutely don't want to forget that one, and it's very important. So let's do the first one then. Let's remove this one, and we will add a disease. And that disease is actually, we can use it immediately. So we might as well add it here then, and prevent that city. We will discard the top minor power, and if it is fast, it is, we have to add a blight. So let's do that. Let's put it somewhere where we don't have any presence. Invaders and Dahan have -1 health. Okay, let's remember that. And then we have 1,000 small struggles on each board with 4 or more towns or cities. That we have, and 4 or fewer Dahan. That we do not have. So this doesn't happen. Let's move on.
Fear.
Each player adds 1 strife in a land with presence. So we will probably add a strife to this city then. Yes, let's remove on.
Ravage. Jungles.
So he will blight this, and then we have, they have invaders have -1 health. That means this is only 2 health. This is 1 health. This is 1 health. So everything dies. Yeah, and that is, nothing happens here. Let's move on.
Build. Wetlands. Explore. Mountains.
2 explorers, of course, because of frontier explorers, and then we have a persistent explorer. Let's add it. Let's see, where do we want this one? Maybe here.
Slow powers.
And then we can replace a city, and we want to replace this one then. The strife is there still, and we get to fear.
Turn 3. Grow phase.
And now we want to reclaim and gain a power card. And we have 2 interesting powers here. Both have our colors. This is the defend card. That is probably what I need. Like I said, a defend card is very good for this spirit. Let's take that one.
Play powers.
So we have 3 card plays. We could possibly reach this level then, but we only have 2 energy. So what do we have to play? We have to play 2 of these and the 0 cost power. Something like that. But we don't really want to play this one, do we? We don't have any target for that. So maybe we will save that power for now and play two powers this turn, and then we have 3 powers next turn instead. And maybe we can set this one up again. Let's see, he will ravage in wetlands. This is no problem, but this one will ravage. But we cannot get the Dahan over there. So we don't really have a use for this next turn either. But oh well, what can we do then? What do we want to play here? We don't have any cities, so maybe we don't want to play that. We'll build a city though here. So we might want to put, but we didn't get any presence this turn, so we cannot play that. Let's play favors called due and move those to Han. We have to remember next turn is also that event, the slave rebellion thing. So we want a Han in a land with strife. So maybe we want to move these in here then. Let's do that. And maybe this one we can push away an explorer and prevent a build maybe somewhere. We don't need to defend this turn. Well, we want it here, but we cannot do that. It's range 0. And this only works if we have the Han. So yeah, I think these are the only powers that really do anything. So maybe next turn we can play this defense, and we can remove some cities and concealing shadows maybe somewhere. Let's try that.
Fast powers.
So we have our innate. We want to prevent build if possible. Now there's 2 explorers here, so we cannot do that. But we can remove 1 explorer so that he does not get an extra town from that. What it is called? This is part of the slave labor rule. If invaders build land with 2 explorers more, replace explorer there with an equal number of towns. So we could move this one, I guess. Let's move it in here. And that was Darkness, Smallest Unwary, and now let's move on to his turn.
Event.
We are at stage 2, urbanization. In each land with at least 2 towns, replace half the town with cities. Well, we don't have any lands with 2 towns, so let's move on. Stricken. Invaders do not ravage in lands with disease or strife. That is not applicable. Retreat. On each board, push 2 Han from a land with cities to a land without cities. Well, we don't have any cities, so that was a new event.
Fear.
Communities in disarray. Cities each deal -1 damage. That does not do anything. And then we have invaders do not heal damage at the end of turn. Let's try to remember that. And then we have each player adds 1 strife in the land not matching a ravage card. Well, we should add a strife here then, I think. So that we get more Dahan from that event. Now if we move those Dahan in here, we will get 2 Dahan from that event. Let's do that. I mean, we could also add it here maybe to help with that ravage next turn. But he will still build a city, so that doesn't really do much. Let's add it here and help with the slave rebellion.
Ravage. Wetlands.
So this doesn't do anything, but here we will have a blight, and now we have already a blighted island. And this is the problem with shadows. He will get a blighted island more often than not. Downward spiral. At the start of each invader phase, each spirit destroys 1 of their presence. Okay. And let's move on.
Build. Mountains.
So we have a town and we have a city. And nothing of this happens.
Explore. Sands.
And he explores, and he explores. And now let's see here. When invaders successfully explore into land without town or cities, let's add another one. And then we have persistent explorer, and that has to be added here. And then we have an escalation. After exploring on each board, pick a land on the shown terrain. We have sands, so we can either add a blight here or we add a town here. I think we'll add a town, and then we are done.
Slow powers.
So this one we wanted to move those in here. Unfortunately, now we no longer outnumbers them. That was a miscalculation. We definitely want those 3 fear. So maybe we will add them somewhere else. Maybe we'll set it up here then. He will build here and then he will ravage. So we could set up a counterattack there with concealing. Not this next turn, no, not this turn, but well, not the next turn, but the turn after that. So let's do that, and that should be 3 fear. And for this then, where do we want to play that? We could either, well, we have to move something from our presence. So what we could do here, I guess, we could move those strife invaders into land 3 maybe. We will have a ravage here. But before the ravage we will have a slave rebellion. And if we have the Han in that land, that basically do the same thing as we were planning to do in land 2. We'll have slave rebellion here instead, and we can add a strife, and then we can convert those into the Hans. So I think that worked out pretty well. And we should get 2 fear from that. And we are already at stage 2.
Turn 4. Grow phase.
And now, let's see, we have 0 energy, we need to do this again. And we probably need to have some energy production here for the future. So let's add, I mean, do we really need 4 card plays? Do we want to open that? The only thing that we need for that is this one. It does 3 damage and 3 fear, but that's not that good because we already get 2 fear from this. Well, we can do both, of course, but it is kind of difficult to have so many invaders in one and the same place. But it is possible. We could do that. But we will need 2 air, 3 fire, and 4 moon. For example, these 4. So that's 4 energy and 4 card plays. For that to work, we still need energy, extra energy, I think. This 3 energy per turn is not going to cut it. We need more energy. So we might as well add up the energy now. So let's do that. Question is, where do we want this presence then? Well, we are going to play Crops, Wither and Fade, so we definitely want to add it where we have a city. So let's add it here. And we could also defend here, I guess, so that we don't die. So let's play both of these in here.
Play powers.
And these 3, of course, will give us the second double, and that's 2 fear here, and a lot of fear here also. So that works out.
Fast powers.
So this is 1 fear and defend 5. And we do have 3 moon, so we can also add a beast. And then what? We have this one. We don't really need to use that one. He will ravage here and here. This is taken care of already, because this one will die. He will be converted into a Dahan. So we don't need to worry about this one. And then we have here, don't have any Dahan. So let's just play it here, I guess, and get 1 fear. And then we have this one. This is 2 fear, and we can take care of some explorers. We want to avoid this build if possible. We still will have a disease here, so it's not a big deal, but if we can take care of those. But I don't think we can do that, because this is kind of annoying. We have to gather 1 explorer. It's not gather up to 1 explorer, it is gather 1 explorer. So if we play it here, 1 of these explorer must enter. So that does not work. So what can we do instead? We can play it somewhere else. He will build here. We could take care of some of those explorers. Or we can simply take care of 1 of those maybe. Why not? And then take care of one of those explorer here. That might be the best. If we remove this explorer, that is one less town. That might be better because this is handled. So let's do that. Let's gather him in here and then kill 2 explorers. That should be 2 fear. So that's my fast phase. Let's move on to the event. And that will be the slave rebellion.
Blighted Island.
But first we have to destroy one presence. So let's destroy this one.
Event.
And here we can add a strife, and I want to add it here. And I will draw an event after this one, but first we have the Aid Uprising. Invaders with strife take 1 damage per Dahan present. So he will die, he will die, and he will die. That's how it works, and that means we can add 1 Dahan per town we destroyed, and that should be 2 Dahan. And then we draw another event. Urban development. No, we're festering pits of blight. We have a blighted island. We add 1 blight to a land with at least 2 blight, but we don't have any such lands. Lingering plagues. On each board add 1 disease. Ignore disease during builds this invader phase. So we want to add a disease somewhere where he will build next turn. Let's see. They could be anywhere except for sands. And I guess we will add it in the coast here. Then we have 2 possible cards that we can hit. Let's add it here. Because this one will be removed. And then what we have? Fears mean 1 fear per land with invaders where Dahan outnumber buildings. So we have that here, and we have that here. That should be 2 fear. So we have 3 level 2 cards.
Fear.
Immigration slows. Skip the next normal build. The build color remains in place instead of shifting left. So that's interesting. Let's remember that. Each player removes 1 explorer or town from a land with beast, disease, or at least 2 Dahan. So we could remove this one. We could remove that one. Let's remove this one, I think. Because otherwise he would build a city there, won't he? Let's do that. Explorer does not affect coastal lands. Lands with disease are not a source of invaders when explored. So you won't explore the coast, and these are not a source of exploring. Okay.
Ravage. Mountains.
So this one will die. Take 1 damage. This one is defended by 5. So that does nothing. So let's move on.
Build. Sands.
So he will, now let's see, ignore disease during builds. And we also skip the next normal build, right? So the build card remains in place instead of shifting left. So this does nothing. Let's just move on. We are skipping the build.
Explore. Coastal lands.
Coastal lands, but we did have quarantine, or quarantine, how it is pronounced, I'm not sure. Explore does not affect coastal lands though. So that does also nothing. After resolving the Explorer card on each board, add 1 Explorer. This still happens, I guess. So let's add an Explorer somewhere. Maybe here, or... yeah, let's add it here.
Slow powers.
And we only have this power left. Replace a city, so let's do that. 2 fear.
Turn 5. Grow phase.
So we don't have any power left, so we will reclaim again. And we get a power card. And it seems like we should pick this one. It has moon and fire. And it is fear. Yeah, we are almost winning here. We just need some fear. And let's see. He will not ravage now, he will build twice. He does not have any cities. So I guess what we need is just generate enough fear here to get to level 3. And that is actually just 9 fear. And if we can prevent him from building cities, it should be good.
Play powers.
So what is he going to do? He's going to build a town, and this is going to be prevented, and then he's going to build something here and something here. Well, it's going to be one town here and here, I guess, if we don't do anything. And that's no cities, so if we just ignore that, and let's see, we can just generate some fear in this turn, and then we should be able to win in the next turn if we can generate 9 fear this turn and the fast phase. Can we do that? We have 3 card plays. We can generate 2, 4, 6, 8 fear. And we should be able to generate 1 fear in the fast phase next turn. So I think we have it here. Unless we get something bad with the event. Let's see, if we play this one, 2, 4, 6, 8 fear. That's 2 cards, and then we have only 1 fear in the next turn. That's 1 fear. And he won't do any ravages. He will not build any cities. And the explorer cannot add cities. So I think this is it.
Fast powers.
So where do we want to generate this? We can maybe remove that one, I guess. Let's drag him in here. Kill those. 2 fear.
Blighted island.
Let's remove a presence. Let's remove this one.
Event.
So we have widening destruction. On each board add 1 blight to a land adjacent to a building. Spirits may prevent this. Well, let's just add a blight. Why not? We have plenty of blight. And then what? On each board choose a land with disease. In that land do 2 damage to invaders and 2 damage to the Han. So we can actually kill those also. Yeah. During ravage in every land, defend 1 per Dahan. Well, we don't have any ravages coming up, so let's move on.
Fear.
Each player removes 1 explorer or town from an inland land.
Build. Sands.
So we have a town here and then nothing.
Explore. Wetlands.
So we have 2 explorer here, 2 explorer here, a persistent explorer. Doesn't matter, and then an escalation, a town.
Slow powers.
So yeah, let's just do this 2 fear, and then we push 1 town and 1 explorer from a mountain. And we have 2 fear, and we can push a town. And then we have 2 fear, and we can replace a town with an explorer.
Turn 6. Grow phase.
And we don't need to think so much about this. We can just add a presence somewhere. And
Play powers.
well, we should add it here, I guess, so that we have a target for this one.
Fast powers.
Let's add it here, and that should be 1 fear. And that should be fear level 3. So that is it for this time. France was not that difficult. For Shadows, we simply killed him before he killed us. But it is going to be more difficult in the coming games for sure. And I'm not looking forward to meeting England and Scotland with this spirit, but that is for another day. For now, bye for now.